We are very happy to have Banishing Misfortune here with us this morning. Woo! They got their fan club with them too. That's awesome. Thank you folks very much for coming. I want to just say a brief word of thanks to the technical crew this morning. You don't know this, but it's been a morning, folks. There's been changes and changes and changes, and you guys, Banishing is here, is one of the changes, and we thank you for short notice, and we thank everybody for doing that. We got 2 people out sick, and no Artem, and oh my God, it's a lot going on. So thank you very much for your patience. We appreciate it this morning. Also going on is Nancy Lip. Nancy Lip has a birthday card, a giant obnoxious birthday card for First Church. First Church is celebrating their 110th anniversary next week, and they have invited us to go, but it's during the exact same time as the service, and they didn't give us any warning. They told us like last week. So I came up with the next best thing, and we went out and got our big old birthday card. So Nancy will be around this week, and someone will be around next week. If you haven't had a chance to sign it and wish First Church well, please do so. And then after services next week, I'll run over there with it. There's a luncheon. Y'all can run over as far as I'm concerned. They invited us, so it'd be great if you can come. I would have canceled services and just said, let's just do services over there and celebrate with them, but we found out too late. We already had things scheduled. So thank you for that. So make sure you sign the card. This is, I love the sound of my own voice. This is a little much. Lunch bunch today will be at Torchy's Tacos at 5885 San Felipe. Everybody know where that is? If you are still a little new around here, Lunch Bunch is a group of us goes to lunch and continues the conversation. Everyone, newcomers and folks that have been here for a while, are welcomed to attend. Let's see, it's not the 4th Sunday, so if you are still new around here, if you are still new, as I said, it's been a morning. So thank you very much, guys, for doing what you're doing. If you are new around here and you'd like us to get know a little more about you, you should have been handed a welcome kit. Inside the welcome kit is a yellow card, and if you don't have your welcome kit and you would like to get on our mailing list and know that you are here, there is also yellow cards in the pews. You can fill those out and put those in the collection boxes during the offertory. And last, I'd like to thank Stephen Lip. Stephen Lip is the worship associate today. Stephen serves this congregation as a member of the choir and as a member of the Performing Arts Committee. And I'd like to welcome Mark Anderson to say a few words about our charitable giving. Thank you, Mark. Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm Mark Anderson. I'm on the Charitable Emerson Outreach Committee, along with Ruth Walensky, who is here today, and Janet Dawson, who I'm not sure if she is. We're quite a ways through our campaign for the Share the Plate nominations. We've got 1 week left, so you need to get your nominations in. Take a moment to think about the charities that you support with your time, your talent, and your treasures, and picture them receiving congregational support for a month from the Share the Plate donations. It's up to you to let us know who to consider for these support. There's only 1 week left until next Sunday, the 11th, to get your nomination in, so the time is now to act. The easiest way is to go to the Emerson website and bring up the Share the Plate page, which you can find on the full menu tab. The selection criteria are there, along with a link to an online form that gets it directly to us. Alternately, if you're a pen and paper person, there are forms in the gathering place for you to fill out. So go on, nominate your favorite charity today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Such an important part of what we do here at Emerson. Now I welcome Stephen Lipp to bring us into the formal part of our service.
And now we transition into our sacred time together, a time of reverence, a time of attention, a time of intention. I invite you to join us in this time marked by the lighting of our chalice flame. I would like to invite the inimitable Dory Wolf to come forward and light our chalice flame in the sanctuary. And I invite those of you at home to light a candle where you are to join in the Spirit. We mark this sacred time with words, important words, that bring us into a time of collective intention. Today, we hear words from our second source, words and deeds of words and deeds of prophetic people. This is Black History Month, and in honor of this month, this and all our readings will come from Black Americans, specifically contemporary Black American women. Our chalice lighting this month comes from American author Toni Morrison, who died in New York City just 4 years ago at the age of 88. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. Don't let anybody convince you this is the way the world is and therefore must be. It must be the way it ought to be. Emerson is a beloved community of faith, reason, and affection. We welcome all to grow in mind and spirit as we build a better world. We do this by gathering to seek, learn, and grow, and in the course of our work to promote love among each other, our congregation, and the wider community here in Houston. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom or on Facebook, we welcome you. No matter where you are in your personal spiritual journey, we invite you to live, learn, love, and grow with us. As a covenantal community, we aspire to promote love, fellowship, and social justice, as well as support for your personal growth. Please join me in our welcoming words, which are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. It is important for us to acknowledge that our history here at Emerson and here in Texas is a shared history, and it is at times a harmful history. Our congregation's buildings are situated on the home of the Karankawa and the Atakapa peoples, who for at least 2,000 years before European settlers arrived, lived a healthy and wholehearted life. And those European settlers nearly brought about their end. May we recognize, uplift, and support Indigenous voices and communities in our work as a congregation. Each time we are gathered, we hear words from one of our 6 Unitarian Universalist sources. Today, we hear the words from Imani Perry. Perry is a scholar, professor, and author, best known for her 2022 book, South to America, and she gave the address at GA this year, for those of you who were there. Here are her words. By now, We know that the flower children, the yippies, the gay rights organizers, and the second wave feminists were all inspired by the voices of the freedom movement. But the ripple is much bigger. In each successive generation, expression has pushed past the existing boundaries, arguing that their existence is more than a matter of style or taste, but rather that it is a matter of freedom. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and our minds centered, we celebrate by singing a hymn. If you are comfortable doing so, you may please stand or you may stay seated. However you choose to join us, please just join us and sing with us. Our opening hymn is hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, and it is in our gray hymnal this morning. This is the time in our service where we have a story for all ages. And today, our story isn't so much a story as it is a telling of, well, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the Unitarian Universalist principles, right? So these principles are things that we all know about, we've all heard about them, but we don't really think about them all that much. But today, what we're going to do is think about them a whole lot. So what I've done today is I've taken the principles and I've rewritten them into a simpler language. There's a lot of big words in the principles. And there's a lot of things that, I don't know, I think they could have said simpler. So I said them simpler. Here they are. And by the way, I call it translating. It's when I moved to South Carolina, people would say things, and I realized I had to translate what they were saying, right? So I'm translating the principles today into my own words in a way that I think is easier to understand for everybody. And all the principles start with "we believe," because that's what they are, right? They're a statement of belief. So our first principle, restated, is we believe that each and every person is equally important. This is the one that the adults say that there's an inherent worth and dignity. 3 big words, right? Simpler, easier words to understand. We believe that each and every person is equally important. How about that? Nice and easy. Second principle, we believe that it is possible for everyone to be treated kindly and get what they need to be happy. We believe that it is possible. That's a big statement, right? That's a huge statement. And that's not what your culture wants you to think, is it? We believe that everyone learns and grows, and that it is our duty to help each other learn and grow. Pretty simple. We believe that each of us learn and grow. When each of us learn and grow, we should be honest about what we find out. That's the truth and meaning thing. Because you can make meaning out of something that's not true, but then it's not meaningful, is it? So we believe that when each of us learn and grow, we should be honest about what we find out. Okay, we believe that counting one person's opinion more than another person's opinion is wrong. That's that whole democratic thing. It's hard to figure out. So we're just going to say it easier. We believe that counting one person's opinion more than another person's opinion is wrong. Sixth principle, we believe that the world is unfair, but it can be fixed and we can each help fix it. Right? Seventh principle, we believe that all things are connected to all other things. And when we harm or help one thing, we harm or help all other things. And then the final principle, the eighth principle, which is kind of a new thing here, but it exists, but it's a little bit new here. So I included it in my principles, so here it is. We believe that if we don't work on fixing what is wrong with the world, we are saying that it is okay for those things to be wrong. So that's a restatement of our principles in very simple, easy to understand terms. And we're going to talk about our principles in the sermon today. Well, I'm going to talk, you're going to listen. The principles are a big part of the sermon. So I wanted to just frame them here, and I wanted to frame them in a way that we can all understand them from my perspective. You may disagree with how I've changed them, but we can understand them at least from my perspective. So that's the end of our story today, and I welcome Stephen to bring us into our offertory this morning.
Each time we gather, we ask your help in fulfilling the church's mission. The success of this church and of the principles we support is made possible by the work of our members and friends and by your financial support. We honor that support by striving to live the mission of this place fully and wholeheartedly. Here at Emerson, this collection does not go to funding our work, which is funded through the pledges of our members. The collection each week goes to fund the work of important partners of Emerson who, in our opinion, live out our Unitarian Universalist values in our community and in the world beyond our community. The act of giving our financial support is both a transformative spiritual act and one way we live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our February Share the Plate recipient, Emerson's English as a Second Language program, ESL. To introduce the program, I would like to introduce Ian Sachs.
Good morning. Is this on? Yes,
Yes,
I think
it is.
it's on. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ian Sachs. For those of you who know me, my name is still Ian Sachs. I'm an assistant teacher in our ESL program and on the Emerson ESL Steering Committee. Emerson's ESL program was created in 2014, and the driving force at that time and the person who was the first director of the program was Deborah Wotring. The program was established and created to serve the fast-growing immigrant population of Houston. Houston is home to an estimated 2 million immigrants, which represent almost 1/4 of the metropolitan population. We've served students from over 40 different countries, speaking at least 12 different languages. Currently, our ESL program has 4 levels of classes to offer on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. The program is free for students, and the teachers are all volunteers. Students who go through our program can better engage with their children's teachers. Their workplace literacy is enhanced, and their knowledge of basic conversational English facilitates entry into the broader community. Your donations will help us buy textbooks, supplies, and pay for our new part-time program coordinator, Patty Ryan. Patty is a long-standing Unitarian Universalist who is a member of First Church here in Houston. She helps organize our classes and the volunteers and publicizes the program within the Houston community to reach more potential students. It should be noted that she is also an avid pickleball player. And she tells me she has had some spirited pickleball games with Reverend Ed and his wife Francine. She is here this morning, and I'd like to introduce her. And she would be happy to meet you and answer any questions you may have about our ESL program after the service. So thanks to the Outreach Committee for choosing us as one of this year's recipients of Share the Plate. Please donate as you are able to this very worthwhile Emerson-sponsored program. And if you're interested, we would also love to have you on our team as a volunteer. Thank you for listening and for your donations.
Thanks, Ian. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go, as always, to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church.
I invite you now to find yourself in a meditative space. Sit, relax, let yourself sink into the chair. A space of reflection, a space of prayer. We will stay here connected to all in this room, connected to all outside this room. We will reflect for a few moments, and then we will sit in oneness. We have come here into this sacred space quieter now with our readiness, hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, beautiful music, for celebration and consolation. We have come into this space bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed. We will now pause and sit. And my friends, let us hold these joys and these sorrows represented here by these candles. Let us hold them sacred between us. Let us also hold sacred all those joys and all those concerns that have gone unspoken, unknown, and forgotten. Amen.
Continuing our celebration of centering the voices of contemporary Black women, the words for our second reading today come from Shonda Rhimes. Miss Rhimes is a television producer and screenwriter known for producing such programs as Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Scandal, Bridgerton, and others. Here are her words. Happiness comes from living as you need to, as you want to, as your inner voice tells you to. Happiness comes from being who you actually are instead of who you think you are supposed to be. I'd like to introduce some special music this time from Banish Misfortune.
So wonderful to have you here with us. We didn't get a chance to talk this morning, but y'all do not have to sit there during the whole sermon if you don't want to. Y'all can go sit there if you want. You don't mind being front and center? I do. I get out whenever I...
You can be front and center.
All right. I heard word through the grapevine this week that Reverend Ed is talking about Unitarian Universalism 101. I don't know where that came from because this is anything but Unitarian Universalism 101, this sermon. This is a little bit more advanced, to the point where I usually start this sermon by saying, if you're still a little new around here, I might lose you. It's okay. Come back next week. I won't lose you next week. I may get lost, but you will not get lost. So, the joyous, redemptive, and liberating message of Unitarian Universalism. Wow. That's not language you're used to hearing around Unitarian Universalism, is it? Right? I think it's language that we need to have, and it's language that I have felt in my heart since early on in my relationship with Unitarian Universalism. I believe it all starts with what I call the secrets of the 7 principles. The 7 principles are hiding some secrets, and we're going to talk about those secrets today. Isn't that fun? Every religion has secret teachings. Christianity has the Gnostic. The Gnostic followers of Jesus were people that he explained things one way to the masses, but he explained things differently to his closest followers. And those followers went on to be what we call nowadays the Gnostics. Other religions have this also. They have a message for the masses, and they have a message for people who want to go beyond the message, people who want to do a little bit more. Some people need a little bit more. And Unitarian Universalism offers you a whole lot more, but they hide it really well. You got to do the digging. So we're going to start by doing some digging and doing some hunting for them today. Now, remember the principles. The principles were originally the Unitarian principles and the Universalist principles, and when the Unitarians and the Universalists merged in the early 60s, they effectively just sort of smashed their principles together in a way that made sense for them. Remember that both the Unitarians and the Universalists were Christians, very Christian, the Universalists especially. You can see that all of the Christ and all of the Jesus language has been taken out. These two religions had a lot in common on the ground, but theologically they were quite different, okay? So they had to find some common ground, and the common ground they found was the principles. But here's what I'm saying about the principles, okay? You can't separate the simple message, the message of the principles, from what's under it. It's impossible. It's like what I say about government. If you elect me to some sort of government post, you elect all of me to that government post. I can't leave my religion behind. I bring it with me wherever I go. It's part of me. It's the way I look at the world. It's not something that you can separate. I do believe that the church and the state have got to be separate, but when it comes to the individual people, you can't ask them to forget about their religious beliefs. They bring it with them because it's part of them, it's part there, okay? So it's buried under the surface a lot of times, and what's buried under the surface is what we call core beliefs. That's what they're called. They're called core beliefs. And the interesting thing about core beliefs is a lot of times you might not even know you believe that. You may think you believe one thing, but then, have you ever done that? Where you said something or did something? Have you ever been like in a heat of moment and somebody said, okay, let's pray. And you're like, okay, good idea. And you're like, what? I don't pray. But it seems like a good idea at the time. So there are some core beliefs, these hidden beliefs. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of how hidden beliefs function. The first thing I'm going to talk about is very simply the U.S. healthcare system. What are the underlying beliefs of the U.S. healthcare system? Right? The U.S. healthcare system was set up and remains a pay-to-play system. So someone who believes that the U.S. healthcare system is the right way to run a healthcare system obviously believes that more preference should be given to people with more money, right? If that system is okay with you, then you must believe that. A core belief of yours must be that if you have more money, you should get special treatment. Does that make sense on what a core belief is? Let me give you another core belief. Here's another one. This comes from Christianity. You've heard people say, You may have even said it once or twice yourself. I have accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. Pull that back. What are the core beliefs of someone who is saying that? One, that we all need to be saved, right? Two, nonetheless, they form the foundation of that statement, just like it's okay to have a pay-to-play system forms the foundation of our healthcare system in the United States. So the question is, what core beliefs do our principles hide? If you pull those back, what is under there? Before we go there, I need to explain joyous, redemptive, and liberating, because those are some scary words to some of you, right? And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. This is a great place for you to be scared. This is where growth happens. I think that you're going to find my definition of these words to be quite different than some of the other uses that you might have heard for them. Joyous, reminding us to touch the joy that we carry within us, the kind of joy that comes from within, not the kind that is delivered onto you. Joy, true joy. Redemptive, not the kind that says we have to be redeemed for sinning against fill in the blank, God, the universe, someone else, but redeeming ourselves from ourselves, letting ourselves down, not living up to our own standard. Redemption means acknowledging that we were never expected to be right all the time. That's not one of the beliefs that your culture wants you to believe, right? Your culture wants you to believe that you are expected to be right all the time. No, you're not. Liberating. This one is tough, right? Because we believe we are all free. But are we really free? I certainly don't feel free all the time. Do you? I feel like my obligations sometimes get the best of me, and I am freer than most. So, do I see this religion we are sharing having in its core beliefs that can bring us true joy, true redemption, and true liberation? Let's do some digging, okay? First, everything starts with the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity principle. Inherent. It is not earned. And it is not repealable. You didn't do anything to get it, and you can't lose it. Now, this is problematic for many of us, right? But we're not talking about dignity between you and me. We're talking about your inherent worth and dignity in relationship to fill in the blank, the gods, the universe, reality. You and I can disagree on your worth and dignity. Prisoners, people who've done awful things, I can remove, in my opinion, someone's worth and dignity, but the universe does not do that. You are born, we are all born equal. The universe looks at us all the same. Our government, our culture may not, our economy certainly does not, but the universe always looks at us all the same. In the eyes of the gods, we are all the same. Superiority is a temporal human idea. Worth is inherent. Inferiority is a human, temporal idea. Dignity is inherent. So now tell me, does that feel joyous to you to know that you are not born broken? This is what this religion tells you. Does that feel joyous? No? Does that feel redemptive? Does that feel liberating? It certainly does to me. What must be the core belief for someone who believes that worth and dignity are inherently part of the human condition? What is one of the core beliefs that must be there? Pride? Pride seems rather the opposite of the first principle, doesn't it? How about humility? If we are all truly, in the eyes of the gods, equal, then all that superiority and inferiority stuff is stuff that we have laid onto it. It is not actually part of the human condition. For someone who is born into a system where their worth and dignity were not questioned, me, I was born into a system where my worth and dignity was not questioned, was never questioned. Do I bring with me, because of this, a sense of justice? I hope so. Humility and justice. Humility and justice are two of the underlying core beliefs of someone who believes in the inherent worth and dignity of all people. At least that's the way I look at it. And if you start with humility and justice, I think we're off to a good start. Let's look at the fifth principle just for a minute. Democratic use of the use of the democratic process in our congregation. Basically, what this means is, go back to when the principles were merged, what this means is no bishops, which is a big deal because the Universalists had bishops and the Unitarians didn't. So this was basically the Unitarians winning an argument. But it's in there, and it's there. So what must someone believe who wrote into a statement like this that we will believe in and adhere to the democratic process in our congregations? What must they believe? What must be a core belief? That all, and it goes back to the first principle. Lots of these go back to the first principle. All souls are equal must mean that all votes are equal. If we're all equal in the eyes of the gods, who are we to say that someone gets more influence than someone else? What is the core belief there? These people believed that success is not built on individual excellence, but it is built on our ability to work together. Now tell me, does that feel joyous? Does that feel liberating? Does that feel redemptive? I think so. So what do we have so far? How about justice, equity, and compassion? Now watch it. Those are three different things. We lump them together, don't we? Justice, equity, and compassion, but they're three different things. Justice is everybody gets what's fair. Equity is everybody gets the same thing. And compassion is everybody gets what they need. Three different things. But when we lump them together, what is a core belief underlying a religion that says that we should have systems that use justice, equity, and compassion? The core belief to me under there is that we can meet everyone's needs. We believe that we can meet everyone's needs. This is a big deal because your culture wants you to believe that you can't. We can't afford to do that. Give health care to everyone? Oh, we can't afford that. Yes, we can. We just choose not to. We believe that we can, which is an joyous, liberating, and redemptive starting point, isn't it? If you believe with we can't, if you start with we can't and let's say, well, let's see how close we can get, that is a totally different viewpoint than starting with we can and we will. So take them as a whole. I'm not going to go through all of them. Take them as a whole. If you take the 7 principles as a whole, as though they were one, not 7 individual things, but one thing, what is the underlying belief of them as a whole? What did these people believe, but maybe not even know they believed? They believed that our destinies are still our own. There's no word in these about God giving you something. If you do the right thing, say the right thing, believe the right thing. There's no word in that, in these principles. So they are saying that our destinies are all our own. And they're also saying that we are linked to each other and not dependent on some outside judge or set of rules. But we are dependent on our own choices. Whew. That's heavy, isn't it? Like, part of me would almost wish there was a set of rules I could follow. It would be a lot easier. Having to rely on my own conscience, that's a lot to ask. But they believe that we could do this together. You have to stay together. And they believe that we can do it, and we will do it together, which is radically different than hoping you did the right thing or hoping that you avoid doing the wrong thing to make some God or some universe happy. Now, does that feel joyous to you? Does that feel liberating to you? Yes. And does that feel redemptive to you? I think it does. The core beliefs of this religion that we share, we all want to live joyful, redeemed, and liberated lives. Who in here says, no, not for me, don't want any of that? No joy, I want to be in constant odds with myself, and I want to feel coupled to something that I don't like. Nobody says that, right? We want a joyful life. We should, but this joyful life must also be challenging, because if it were boring, it wouldn't be worth anything. We should not avoid challenges. We should build a system to handle the challenges, not to avoid the challenges. And we should put the responsibility to face those challenges on those who can't avoid the challenges. The Bible called them the least among us, those people who can't avoid the challenges. We should put those challenges on our back because we're capable of doing it. Fear, my friends, is a form of captivity. Community is the antidote. If you dig down on the whole, these people believed this. But we forget it. Our culture wants us to forget it. Our culture wants us to feel alone and afraid. But the antidote to all of it is right here in community, right here in this religion. This religion that is hiding things, when you listen to it, yells at us and tells us, remember, you are worthy and you have dignity that cannot be taken away from you. Remember that everyone's needs can be met. Remember that you don't have to pass any test. Remember that the world doesn't always make sense, but we can make sense of it if we do it together. Remember that the world can be a better place. Not hopefully, it can be a better place. We believe that it can be a better place. Now let me ask you one more time. Does that feel joyous? Does that feel liberating? And does that feel redemptive? Damn right it does. Amen. And now I invite us to come into our second hymn. But before we do that, I want to talk about this second hymn just for a second. I did not know we were going to have an Irish Celtic band. I chose a reggae song for our second hymn. But I want to tell you about this reggae song so when you sing it, you feel it, okay? This is important for you to know what some of these words mean in a reggae tune. First of all, this song was written in 1970 by a Rastafari band named the Melodians. I think we have a picture of them. We're going to have a picture of them. The lyrics are an adaptation of Psalm 9 and Psalm 137 in the Jewish scriptures. The hymnal lists it as a song of sorrow, but it fails to list it as a protest song. Most reggae songs are protest songs. But you don't know that because you don't know the language. So I'm going to tell you some of the language, okay? Here are some of the terms that you might not understand, that as you're singing them, I want you to feel these things. Babylon. What do reggae mean? What do Rastas mean when they say Babylon? They mean an unjust political system. That's what they mean. Often they're referring specifically to the police, any form of police. The wicked can mean many things. On the lighter side of Rasta, it can mean oppressors. On the more fundamentalist side of Rasta, it can mean white people. Now, the Melodians were somewhere in the middle. Zion, which is a big word right now, so I thought I'd explain it. Zion does not in Rasta language, Zion does not necessarily refer to a place like it does when used by the Israeli or Jewish folks. Rasta, when they say Zion, they mean a higher state of consciousness closer to God or Jah. Jah is God, right? Jehovah, Jah, God is Jah. And when you sing it, King Alpha and Farai, when you get to those words, they both mean Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie was the emperor of Ethiopia, the last emperor of Ethiopia. I'm not going to get into it. I think we'll do a pre-service class on Rasta because it's a very interesting religion. So when you sing Alpha and Farai, what you're singing, you're referring to Haile Selassie. Okay? Rastafari is Haile Selassie. Same thing. Okay? Now we ready to sing a hymn. Now read it when you feel it. It's to hymn number 1042. When you feel it when you sing it. We've now arrived at the part of our service where we must extinguish our chalice flame. I invite Dory to come and extinguish our chalice flame for us this morning while we hear the words from Reverend Brian Kiley. Reverend Kiley was the minister in Edmonton, Alberta for years. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and the souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. We are so grateful for your presence this morning. For those of you who have joined us On YouTube, after the postlude, we will be ending our streaming service. We welcome you. There will be no Zoom room this afternoon. I'm sorry. Thank you to all those folks who have joined us. We love to have you with us online. We hope to see you soon. And to everyone here and everyone online, may in the course of our week, may we be more and more aware of the communities of which we are a part. May we be more and more aware of our individual part in those communities. And may we be more and more aware of how those communities co-create our journey with us and how we co-create their journeys with them. And now I invite our postlude.